All right, what's this episode about? Happy Monday, folks. What's going on? Day in the life of music.
Stuck with it.
I like that title, I think. Are we already at episode?
I was walking
This
my
is the
dog.
Monday series
to all four of our
shows that I'm doing. It's not
like back to back.
really a podcast.
And I called you and like, this is the raddest EP ever. We have to do it. And we did. So that was yay for us.
Happy Monday, folks. Today we're having a conversation with Aaron English about a song that he and I wrote together. We've known each other for a little bit now through mutual friends, and I think actually when we first met, it was here in Nashville at a Creative Mornings event, and kept in touch since then, followed each other on some socials, then realized just how many people we have in common, we know in common. And then we reference it in the video, but Durango Songwriters Expo is where we really kind of connected, realized, oh shit, I know you, and started talking again and talking about maybe doing a co-write, something together. And he was working on a project. He's been releasing these songs for this last year that all revolve around very specific and personal life experience. And I'm very honored to have been invited into this project with him. I don't think I even realized when we got started kind of how deep it went and these messages stretched out in terms of all the releases that he's done. He's got a Patreon. You can go follow along there and support him there and hear kind of more about this whole story and how everything's evolving and be a part of that journey. And I encourage you to. He's a great writer, he's a great artist, and this record came out really good. So I'm excited to share it with you. The song's called What Do I Do With These Tears? We go off on a bunch of tangents because of me, because that happens. But to stay on topic, yeah, this is a song that, well, we'll talk all about that. This, I think, is an important part of the process that's good to shed light on, is just co-writing from a listening perspective, to know kind of what goes on in the process and how we work through different things. And this was a days-long process for he and I working on this together. It wasn't just a sit down and write a song kind of thing. We did that, and then we knew that it wasn't done, so we kept working on it together and went back and forth. And this thing came together in a way that I'm really proud of personally. I really like how the song came out from a production standpoint. He produced it really, really well, and it really just pieced together. It felt seamless, even though it took a little bit of time to get there in terms of writing the song and working it out. Once it was there, it was like, oh shit, yeah, we're done. This is, put it down all the way around. It was a fun project to be a part of. Anyway, you'll get a chance to check that out. If you're on Substack, if you're a subscriber there, you are going to get a bonus episode of the recording of this. I didn't do as much footage recording this because I kind of figured we might do this type of thing eventually. And all I really recorded was bass and guitar. So I encourage you to find the song on Spotify, go check it out there. And if you want to watch a little bit of that behind the scenes video of us collaborating together, you'll get that bonus episode this week on Substack. I'll interject that the single, If This Is Love, just came out last Friday today. Yeah, last Friday today, and October 24th. And on November 14th, a month from now-ish, that EP will drop. So 4 songs, there's 2 additional songs to the singles that came out already. I think you'll dig it. Check it out, pre-save it. It's already out there to be pre-saved. It's called Wild Horses EP. It's the EP that we did with, that I did with Shane Alexander, that we did together. I'm super excited about it. So go pre-save that, check it out. Now back to Aaron English. What Do I Do With These Tears? It's a great song. You're gonna love it. The song, our song. What do we do with these tears?
They're waiting, everyone in black and lilies in white, all fade to gray in the morning light.
I would love to talk about the topic of that song and what it's about, and I'll say, something I didn't even realize when we were working on that song is I knew how impactful it was for you and what you were going through at the time, but it was one of a few songs that you were it feels like you were kind of processing that whole experience at that time. And so it was one of a few songs that you were writing that were in that vein of what do I do with these tears, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oppression, timing. It's turned into a whole album, and I keep adding more songs, which a season of death and loss and change, which we all experience that, but in such quick succession is maybe somewhat unusual.
Yeah.
My dad, my brother, and my uncle, my godfather, my mom, and a lot of other changes along the way, which were not deaths, losses, and happening about a month apart, which is pretty amazing, pretty potent, since I was already in the midst of, already begun writing a set of songs. Not to complain about loss, but to explore grief, loss, what it does and where it belongs in our lives, and what do we do with it.
Yeah.
It's I've been really excited and inspired by the songs, and also really clear that this is what all of the songs are about. And then when I'm done with that, I move on from writing about grief and I write about something else. And so there's a very clear, demarcated line. You put these songs in this box, and then you release the box, and then you go do something else.
Right.
That's somewhat unusual for me, because I'm more of a I want to write all the songs all the time with all the people, and it becomes a potpourri. This is a very clear theme, and not a theme that I would have thought would be either palatable or broadly of broad interest to folks, because everyone faces loss, but not everyone wants to then listen to songs about loss. You have these songs that are just about bereavement. Well, life is hard enough. Why do I want to listen to that? Instead, it's become a conversation with people about loss and grief, especially this song.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to hear. You've been playing it out on the road and getting the reception, the posts that I've seen about it, comments that I've seen on it have been really encouraging and help to support that idea of the fact that it's not just a song about grieving. It's not a song about, the specific loss necessarily, but it relates to people through that personal experience, right? But then it also talks about something very specific. That phrase of the phrase that we sort of landed on of what do I do with these tears, which became the title of that song, is for me, like, it really opens up that dialogue, that conversation that you're talking about, because it is very much, I mean, that's extremely relatable. And it can be about grief, or it can just be about, well, I guess, grief, I think it really is definitely about a loss or a grief situation, but that can apply to so many different areas. It doesn't necessarily have to be at a funeral. And by the way, I've said it to you plenty of times personally, but I'll say it here too. I'm sorry for all of the loss that you experienced at that time. And I'll say too, thank you for bringing me in on that process. Because much like I think the people that are listening to it and receiving this from you while you're performing it, for me, it is very relatable. It's relatable to my personal experience at the time, not, again, in a different set of circumstances. But, I think that it's important to bring the topic up in a way that is more conversational, and not just telling this sob story or sad story, and not to devalue those songs or that situation. But it was pretty clear that you were kind of working through it with the lyric and with the idea that we were working on together.
And it wasn't anything that we expected to fall into when we started writing the song. It was just interesting.
Not at all. It was a very natural progression.
Yeah. And I've told that story live at gigs. started writing the song, and it took a direct. It ended up. The song ended up at a funeral, and I said, "Wait a minute, did you? How did you know, or did you know?"
Yeah,
my dad had just died. He said, "I didn't."
That's right.
We were just writing a song about the broader topic of not being able to express emotions with men, and particularly in mind. But as I've shared the song more, I realize it's not just limited to men, and it's not just limited to death. It's about not being able to, or not supposed to show emotions at all. Or a friend of mine who was a female singer-songwriter said that for her it was, her mother just died, and for her it was, you got to hold it together until the funeral's over. You got to buck up. You got to hold those emotions in until the funeral's over, and then you can fall apart, because there are all these things that have to get done following a death, which is absurd and ridiculous but true. So, all sorts of angles. And we didn't start with a death angle, but you went there. Thought, well, that's uncanny.
Don't cry. You can't cry. Isn't that just what you taught me through all of these years? But if I don't cry, if I can't cry, then what do I do with these tears?
And we also came up with that title, Bless Your Heart, because we were kicking around a lot of phrases. And that one, you just tossed off among many. I'm glad that we landed there. I'm grateful to the Song Salon for helping us to give it a polish. The Song Salon has been around for decades, and there are always song circles, especially in Nashville, but this one has a revered history and tradition. So to show up to Amy Spee's house and have her pick over the song with a group of other songwriters, it's not that they ask for credit or that they're suggesting literal changes, but they're giving it the bird's eye view, which can be very hard when you've been working on it as the writer. You can't see it properly anymore.
It's a necessary outside perspective. It's like when you're, whether it's a brother, a sister, a loved one, whoever, I find myself bouncing ideas off of people and playing works in progress for people, just to be like, am I crazy here? Is this, check your bullshit meter sometimes. But and I didn't even know you were a part of that or going to bring it to that, but I'm glad that you did, because again, it's an invaluable project, and I mean, I guess just because this is going to be out there in the world, what is Song Salon? Let's tell people exactly what that is.
I don't know enough about it to truly do it justice, but there are chapters, so to speak, all over the country. It started in New York. Nashville one has been in and out of regular sessions since the pandemic. But New York and San Francisco and Nashville, I think, at least, are going fairly strong. But there's a long tradition, of course, of songwriters gathering to play songs for each other and get feedback. With this one, the name Song Salon doesn't exactly have a trademark, but in mine as well, where the songwriters that have been involved in hosting it have been vested in it for decades. So you're joining a tradition of accomplished heavy hitter songwriters who are they bring all this wealth of knowledge and perspective, specifically heavily from the Americana singer-songwriter genre, which is its own subculture in Nashville. You would expect in Nashville more country writers. This is not that. There's a lot of people who are focused on words, focused on telling stories. They make a living telling stories as troubadour singer-songwriters, which is perfect for this song, because this is not a pop song. Right. So their focus is primarily on lyrics and on the story. One of the things that sets Nashville apart from any other music city is its focus on story and lyrics. Country is a story and lyrics driven genre. The melody is secondary.
Right.
That's that's not good or bad. It's just a good country song is about the narrative.
Yeah.
And that's true as well for folk singer-songwriter troubadours.
Well, and I was going to say, just to interject, I was going to say that is the thing about country music that I do fully appreciate, because there's a lot about country music that I'm just not a huge fan of in terms of like pop country and, you know, some of the things that have evolved over time. But the basic root of the song being the key element. I mean, even a lot of that pop country stuff, the songs are still great. You have a lot of those same songwriters creating these stories, and that is something. I grew up around here, so I kind of saw it happening out of Belmont and at a young age, and maybe that was an advantage, or at least a vantage point that I had that was different when I moved to a place like Los Angeles, where there's still a lot of collaborations that happen, especially like in our community. We met through Durango and have worked with any number of writers. That's how we ended up collaborating. So I know you have a background in that too. But yeah, coming to a place like Nashville, seeing what a writer's round is, and seeing, you know, how that stuff works and how songs come together. I don't think it's unique to Nashville anymore. But like when I was growing up, I realized after I left town, it is. But yeah, this is definitely the kind of song that I think a lot of people can get behind, because it is a great story. It is a valuable, again, just relatable message. And I don't want to keep beating that horse, but it's that kind of thing where it comes across really well. And I'll say this about the Song Salon, that group did really help us in terms of, because we were at a stage when you had an opportunity to work with them, to play it for them, where we were tossing around teasing a lot of different phrases and ways of saying what we were trying to say. So it came at a great time.
Well said. You could take things a lot of different directions, and it's humbling to then take a song to these folks and get some clarity on it. I've been writing songs forever and haven't had a habit of running them past anybody. Especially if you are independent DIY, you don't have a whole lot of producers or co-writers to do a head check on songs. And especially if the songs are a little unusual, if you have a less traditional voice. If you didn't come up in the Nashville scene, the Berklee School of Music scene, the Austin scene, on and on, then you learn to write on your own, and you come up with your own unique quirks, and that's a good thing. But you also don't get experience with running the song through the gauntlet of polish and precision. And what an eye-opener, what a humbling eye-opener, and how encouraging and inspiring to have people say, "Oh yeah, this is the title, this is the refrain," for instance. And then to go to Durango, which you mentioned, Durango, it's a songwriters expo that I run 3 times a year. And the founder just celebrated 30 years of the expo.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to have missed the 30th.
Happens. We lavished him with gifts and praise and appreciation. Played it for industry there, so a bunch of industry listening to music and giving feedback. Usually folks there are trying to get their songs in film and television commercials, but there's a dying subset of people who are there for the song. Talking to publishers and record labels and managers. Anyway, played the song for 3 industry folks who had a history of hits and success, which is great, because it gives them authority, and they immediately latched on to. Here's an example of a payoff, meaning listening to songs all day, and they came back to you wait for a payoff, and then you hope you get one, and here's a great example of one.
That's
what do I do with these tears? Bam. Whereas originally the song was, what do I do at a funeral?
What do I do at a funeral?
What do I do with a lifetime? What do I do when it's time to cry?
Yeah.
I thought that was a good one. And
yeah.
It wasn't.
Well, it was. Yeah. What do I do with these tears? I think it's just a good example of how, a couple of words, all of those things say basically the same message, but what do I do with these tears is much more personal, and it's the right word, which is also very hard to explain and hard to find, because being time to cry is different than these tears.
Don't cry. You can't cry. Isn't that just what you taught me through all of these years? But if I don't cry, if I can't cry, then what do I do with these tears?
I've been pleased at the extent to which Spotify's algorithm is attached to it, is glommed onto it, and delivered it up in Discover Weekly and radio to people who don't know or music or my music. It's for what it's worth. Spotify's not in the good music business. It's in the what people will continue to listen to so that you can serve up more ads business. Yeah. Of course, Facebook isn't in the social business; it's in the ads business, for instance, and so on and so on. And that's fine. I don't believe that there's a one-to-one corollary between algorithm says yes and it's a good song. No. But there's something about the immediacy of the song that makes it, I think, a good gateway drug to our music. That the algorithm will reward a song that people keep listening to when they don't know it. And the classic old radio dilemma was how do you introduce somebody to a new song? They're listening to the radio. Right. Here's your Bob Marley. Here's Tom Petty, and then here's something I don't know. What? Why would I like it? If I don't know it, then it must not be any good. You need to front load enough intrigue, enough. Oh wow, what is this? Yeah. And this song is front loaded with sound effects, for crying out loud. It's a car door slamming and the windshield wipers, and it's raining, and why would anybody keep listening to that? I made that technical decision to do a sort of Pink Floyd narrative to open the song. Doesn't seem to have limited its palatability. Spotify has decided, man, this is the jam. Yeah. More than any other song I put out this year of releasing songs for this record. That surprises me, and it's great. But there is an ease to which it hits the ears for some reason, which again, the algorithm rewards ease. Yeah, sneaks the song into people's consciousness, and then they don't skip. By far more than any other song I've released this year in this Grief record. So, whether or not that makes it the best song, that's not really. It's not really what the algorithm is telling us, but it's telling us that something resonates fast, even on such a casual level.
Yeah, it makes me think the way people receive content now, specifically in today's technology. You talk about it with TV and film, the ability to stream exactly what it is you want to see. It starts with choice, but then it ends up being this very just personal experience. And listening music is one of those things that you can do at a very one-to-one basis. Like, all I'm going to do is listen to this record, which I think goes back to days of vinyl and maybe even FM radio of song discovery, early days of that. But then today, because all of life is discovery being thrown at you, speaking of these algorithms and how we're getting the information or being fed the information, it's a very different process. And I do think that a song like this that sort of sets a mood and it has like a real tone and timbre to it that you can't get other than listening to a song like this, or watching a show. It's very cinematic. It really kind of just, I think it's that experiential part of it, maybe. And maybe I'm, thinking way too much about it, and it is just an algorithm thing. But at the same time, I agree. To compliment you, I think it's very well produced, and it comes across what you were doing with it. Everything that you were doing with it, down to the guitar parts that I played, all based on your direction and just let's try these couple of things. All of that worked to help really illustrate how the song ended up and how people receive that message. But again, circling back to the point, like, it's so important that I think today that maybe its authenticity to the music comes across in a manner, that the manner of the way that we're making the music and putting it out in the world, that it's coming from a place of authenticity, because I think this is the response that it kind of proves the theory that this is the kind of response you can get when you do that. Am I making sense?
Yeah. I hope you're right.
I do too. Not to fluff any feathers, but no, I'm really hoping that's a correct assumption.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that on the fringes of what Spotify serves up to me, or YouTube serves up to me. Yeah. Not more Spotify. There's a lot of music that's fine.
Sure.
Like, I'll find a songwriter and I think, wow, this is kind of catchy. But I'll listen to the dozen songs. I think it's got some good hooks. But there's always just some rough edges. The production isn't great, or the vocal isn't great, or the lyrics are kind of clunky, and just it needs more. And that's kind of the era we're living around, where I get to discover a dozen songs from somebody that I wouldn't have discovered otherwise, and I probably won't ever listen to again. And I'm like, this has got something to it. Yeah, but that's as far as it goes. And that's not even to bring up the AI stuff, because also with AI, there's hey, that's pretty good. It sounds really polished. AI can be so impressive with production. Yeah. And there's so much you can do in the box nowadays, with any amount of musical talent or any amount of commitment, and that's great. But it shows. Yeah. You hear it and you go, huh, AI's pretty good, or you go, huh, that's a cool line. Yeah. And then what? Yeah. As opposed to building on a solid foundation of experience and polish. And what intrigues me the most about the song is it's people are responding so well to it. Spotify's responding so well to it, and it was one take really for the guitars. Knocked that out in an hour and a half. Yeah. It was one mix, one drum performance, one vocal performance. Yeah. When you talk about authenticity, what's also implied, I think, is experience. Yeah. So, people who know what they're doing because they've been doing it for years. Yeah. And with ease, so that it comes together very quickly. And it certainly was the fastest production process I've been involved with in years. I'm used to working with musicians around the world and ABing tracks from 80 different musicians and building big production, elaborate, and that's gorgeous. The ease of this surprised me, but it shouldn't, because if people know what they're doing and they've been doing it a while, then things just fall into place. Yeah. I've been a one-take vocalist since I was decades, and it's just proof of experience. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that the authenticity and polish are hand in hand here, where I think so. The ease with which it comes together and the speed is indicative of the experience, and all of that shows in the final product. And people know it when they hear it.
Yeah. it's hard for me to imagine that any AI, because it's all based on something that's already happened, is actually commercially viable. Clearly it is, at least to the extent that, like, if Spotify makes it, they can put it out there because they are. But how do you even copyright that? Because nobody made it. That's confusing to me. But to your point, what's great about, again, it takes skill and experience to be able to just lay something down, but it also takes, and maybe it does relate to experience. You have to know, you have to be able to hear what you're going for. You have to be able to hear how you're going to fit in that spot. Like if I'm accompanying, I'm playing the guitar on a track, I need to be able to know, based on what you're looking for, how I can deliver a sound that matches that idea, right? And yeah, we knocked it out basically in one take, a few different passes. Hey, we're done. All right. I guess let me know if I need to do something else. But to your point of vocals, I'm the same kind of way. It works best for me when I really know the song. If I'm recording work tapes and going through and just trying to flesh the idea out in production, it can take a little bit longer. But I tend to not do that until I have the song written. And I find that there's a lot of like bedroom producers and people that are just using what's inside the box. They're relying so much on what's inside the box and Melodyne and whatever other tools they have to correct things that really, if they had, if music to them as an artist was built as more of a craft from an experiential perspective, I think we'd be getting a lot better product in the world. To speak to some of the stuff that's out there, and I hear it too, that's like, probably could have done something different there. Maybe could have finished that line a little better, whether it's the delivery or the lyric or whatever it is. What's the direction that we're headed here? And there's a lot of songs out there that mean absolutely nothing, that I love. The package is still there. It's still being delivered with some real authenticity by someone who's got very real, tangible experience. You can hear in everything. So yeah, I agree. I do think it has a lot to do with experience, and I think it has a lot to do with that experience of really knowing how to deliver the song as a craft, and not kind of just like, it wasn't thrown together at all. It was definitely, we had a very fully fleshed idea, and here it is. Yeah.
And theoretically, it's about something that nobody really wants to hang out and listen to. Especially if it's served up to them anonymously with an algorithm.
Yeah.
I love that it's a hard sell. Nobody wants to face these issues. Everyone has to, but they don't want to face them while they're on their morning drive or on their way to drop the kids at the soccer game and hear Spotify saying, "Hey, you might want this."
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to be crying on the way to the soccer game. But thanks.
And to your earlier point, maybe they do. Maybe maybe they're saving it to those to their playlists or however they're continuing to listen to it, because it's again it's resonating.
Reminds me, when I first discovered music, one of my favorites was a bit of an oddball. It was Sting put out a record right after his father died and his mother died, and it was coming of age record about grief and
which one?
And the Soul Cages, which was not his biggest hit. It wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't a massive hit like he was used to. And this was when he still had chart hits. So a couple of years later, he came back with a solo album that was fire, hit after hit after hit.
Right.
And he made somewhat disparaging comments about the previous record in his interviews.
Interesting.
Well, that album really only has a market for the bereaved. Which is to say, I moved on. I've learned my lesson. I'll never do that again.
I've moved on. Yeah. Interesting.
But I loved that record, and I didn't know much about grief at the time. I was just a kid. But I thought it was gorgeous. And when I put out my first record, a lot of people said, you a fan of the Soul Cages by chance? Which is not a well-known record. So I thought, maybe a little too much on the nose. But that first record of mine is still the favorite of many folks, and it was an ocean record. I grew up in a fishing village, and Sting grew up in a shipbuilding town. And
interesting.
Both of those albums, you can draw a through line. All these ocean songs and sailor songs. In a way, this song and this album is a bookend, because here I am making an album for the bereaved, as things said, but taking it seriously, not as, well, I need to do this for myself, and then I'll move on to writing hits for the rest of you all. Instead, it's, well, what if people want to listen to these songs and explore those themes? And what if you don't excuse it away as, well, I needed to do this, and so maybe you'll listen to it, and if so, thank you. But if not, it's just, writing about my dad. Well, I'm writing about my dad, but everybody has a dad. And, everybody knows what it's like to lose something or someone. And as long as you're not navel gazing, sing for me, or if you're not reveling in the despair of the human condition, like this is going to happen to all of us, how terrible,
right?
Then why can't it be as compelling as an album of love songs?
Sure. I think, well, I mean, I think it can. There's so many, I like so many records that fit that example of maybe it was just to fulfill a contract for the label to build, or just to get some, relieve a little bit of steam and just put something out there because I got to get this off my chest or whatever it is. There's another Sting album that I have on vinyl. It was his very first solo release. It was I had to look it up because I couldn't remember, but it's The Dream of the Blue Turtles. Have you heard that one? Yeah. It's got the song about Russia. I don't know. It's a very interesting. It's like I would love to hear what his thoughts on that record are. Now hearing from you from interviews what his thoughts are and comments were about this other album. But there's so many good examples of that. Are you familiar with, just to go on this tangent for a second, have you done with your artist profile on Apple, you can add your bio and answer all those questions?
I have not. Amazon, same. But same. I have with Spotify.
Amazon, I can't even get into, man. Amazon is by far the worst user experience of any of those profile management for artists on a DSP. It's like they basically said, we got to get into this game. And they did, and then they forgot about it for the last few years. And the technology hasn't updated, and they don't have any communication skills around that, or just department around that. Apple asked these questions. One of them is, what are your the three albums that inspired you the most on Apple Music specifically? And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't listen to Apple Music all the time, so I don't know that, but I can give you my three most influential albums. And it's really just three albums that my mom had on vinyl that I would spin on repeat because they're the best ones that she had. But Songs in the Key of Life was one of them. Sgt. Pepper's was actually one of them, so I think I chose that. But one of the ones that they didn't have, I can't remember what the others were, but one of the ones they didn't have was the Paul McCartney Ram record. You familiar with that one? Played everything on it. He's got his wife on there. They've got, I think she sang on there, but there's just a couple of songs that they wrote together for sure. And those songs, dude, that's a fantastic album. I guess more people, that's one of the ones that I'm saying, I think a lot of people know that more. It definitely has a couple of hits on there, but another good example from Stevie Wonder, speaking of Songs in the Key of Life, before that album came out, he did those 2 soundtrack albums. Have you heard those? I have them on vinyl. You'll have to, next time you come over, I'll throw them on for you. And I can't tell you what they are, but they're really interesting because it's Stevie Wonder composing. It sounds like somewhat they're very talented at what they do, clearly know how to produce an album, clearly know how to put these songs together, just like scoring a film to pass the time. And it was definitely to fulfill on his contract with Motown so he could renegotiate before Songs in the Key of Life. Have you heard that story about Songs in the Key of Life? And I'm off on a total tangent. I'm a big Stevie Wonder fan. So if you can look this up and fact check me, but from what I know, he renegotiated his contract right before Songs in the Key of Life to own all of his own publishing.
Wow.
And he was the first artist to do that, and on Motown, no less. And he basically, after he finished these other two albums, or at some point in there, he was working on Songs in the Key of Life, produced the whole thing in a backyard studio with an unknown engineer, unknown producer, and they just did it all together, just the team of three of them. He played everything on there, sang everything on there. And of course, nothing was written down, and he was working on these songs more in his head. He had people following him around all the time from the label. What do you got next? What's going, So he kind of did all of it on the down low. And so when he came into that meeting, he slipped across the vinyl and said, this is what I've got next. And if you want this, I'm getting all my own publishing kind of thing. And
wow.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it that I'm missing and that I don't know. And I'm sure I got at least 5 things wrong in that story. So there's YouTube.
It's a master's thesis or a podcast series or something in there, because it reminds me of so many stories.
Right.
Louis Armstrong recording What a Wonderful World, or Nick Drake recording Brighter Later, where artists sabotaged the process in order to cut the record label out of the creative process long enough for them to finish the record.
Right.
By hook or by crook, by hell or high water, they got the album done, and then they let the label in on it.
Yeah.
And that was the late 60s and 70s. So some of those stories are like cocaine infused, like trying to batter down the studio door with a fire extinguisher, that sort of stuff.
No, totally.
Wow. I did not know about this one.
Yeah. When did you start working on, when did you start releasing these songs for this album?
Yeah. 2 different questions. I started working on them as soon as my dad died. I started getting, got this huge folder on my hard drive of song ideas, and some of them sit there for decades. And it's not that I don't like them, I just don't coalesce into something. And what certain ideas started bubbling up that I really wanted to finish because emotionally, texturally, aesthetically, they spoke to me in the context of grief. And I thought, well, that's interesting, that's different.
Yeah.
Usually I'm lyric driven. Usually there's more of a rhyme reason method, but instead this just touches me in that emotional space. My dad died late February 2023, so it has taken longer than I expected, but of course what doesn't. And this year I started releasing a song a month, tickling the algorithm of the streaming services, but really it was tickling my sense of initiative just to get an album done, because how much do you really think that the algorithm is going to change your career if you start releasing music more often? It does notice, and it does reward you, just like socials notice and reward you. If you are on a regular schedule, it says, got it, this guy gives you a bump. But how much of a bump? Is it a life-changing bump? No. But it is a good discipline. The secondary benefit of it was I get these songs done. That for somebody who can navel gaze, a perfectionist who loves to add layers and polish them, that's so much fun. But that's not really the era that we're living in. There's now a place for meditating on the greatness of the potential product for indefinite periods of time. But there was a time when an artist and an act would take 3 years, 5 years to finish a record and then come roaring back. That's not the time we're living in, and I've embraced it. There's a new skill that I've developed, which is that's enough. That's 80% there, 85% there. Or that's really cool. I'm just going to release it.
I have two thoughts that just came to mind. I have something psychiatrists have coined in books that I've read, unrelenting standards. And I've had to learn to say, we're done for the day. Time for me to go inside the house, which is right there to my right on the screen, and be with my kids and my family and stop working. And I'll pick it back up tomorrow. And then wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what? That's behind me. I'm good with what happened. I can be positive and happy about what's going to happen today, instead of just, boiling over on, oh God, I've got too much to do, or I didn't do enough, or whatever. Because, we probably grew up under similar circumstances or something. You may you may relate to that. So I know that makes me relate to that statement of yours. And then the other thing is, I was watching a documentary on Netflix about people that live the longest on the planet. So there's a couple of island communities that have the longest living known people. Okinawa is one, and then I think there's some islands in the Mediterranean. Definitely some Italians, Greek, those neighborhoods of the world. But in Okinawa, they have this phrase that there's no English translation for. I forget what they call it, as I do with most things. But the term basically states you want to eat until you feel satiated, but not full. So it becomes about 70 to 80% of feeling full. Because when you feel full, you've already eaten too much. Your body has a delayed response to how much you can take in, if that makes sense. Just like everything that we eat comes out in our bodies, it's how we get sick. It's how we develop disorders and things. It's one of the reasons why the American food is so terrible for us. We don't notice it until way later in life, or later generations, that we're passing on disorders, autoimmune disorders, because of all this shit that we've consumed, that our grandparents and parents have consumed. And again, to that point, though, and what's really interesting, and I love it, is they're eating single ingredient foods, whole foods, which is obviously better for you, but they're also only eating to where they feel almost full, satiated, like I've eaten enough. And if you do that, I've been practicing that since that thing, trying it on, trying those pants on to see how they fit a couple of times. And lately it's become a very common practice for me, mostly because I just don't have time to sit down for a full meal, but I want to eat in the time that I have and be a little bit more French about it, where I'm actually enjoying it. If I only have so much time to eat, I'm going to eat something I want to eat, and I'm going to enjoy it for a moment, even if it is only for a moment. But as long as I've eaten what I know is satiating and what I need, even if I'm not full, I definitely notice a big difference. I have a lot more energy. I keep a lot more energy. And I think if you apply that philosophy to music, which I can also relate. I mean, I've been doing the same kind of thing. We got to put a lot of content. I get these episodes to about 70, 80% of what I would call done. And then they got to go out, because I'm on a timeline. I put myself on a deadline, Deadlines are important, and you learn a lot about how you work and your skill level too. To circle this back, one take wonders over here. You can get it done. You can get it done, and you will, and you should. Yeah.
That also points you in the direction of having fun with putting out more stuff more often, which is...
Yeah. It's another process to get used to.
It is one that's rewarded by the algorithms and whatever. But if you can reframe it as, I get to put out more songs, more episodes, more reels, whatever. If it's beneficial, if it's encouraged, well, can you learn to enjoy that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like you've seen the benefit of that. I just based on my view of the performance of the song, I'm very happy with how it's been received, and I think it's a great song. That's really the most important thing. I'm very happy with the way it came out. For you, from my perspective, being another songwriter on the thing and getting to be a part of it, I'm very happy with it, and it's out there in the world, and other people get to enjoy it. That's the most important thing. So who gives a shit about an algorithm?
Yeah. Yes. And the goal is for more people to hear it. So thank you.
That's right.
Thank you, Spotify, for being tickled by this song. And,
they don't get to hear it unless you put it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what a great example of that process of efficiency and not speed, but one take vocal, one take guitars, one mix, one drum performance.
That's right.
Out.
Done. And sometimes it isn't just one take, like you've said before, and you can keep workshopping things. And that becomes very much a part of the process. That's a very cool process. But to your point, in this world, there's not really a whole lot of time for that, unfortunately. Yeah.
The preparation comes in decades of chops.
Yeah.
So it's one take, but that
takes 20 years of doing
years.
it. Yeah, 40 years, whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. Well, cool, man. Go listen to this song, people. Yeah. Again, man, thank you for doing this. You feel good about it?
I do.
All right, cool.
Thanks for watching. Like I said, go to Patreon, check out Aaron English, support him there. Go to my Substack. You can support me there. Support independent music. Listen to real people doing this for real. And help us, keep music going, not just furthering AI, because that's where everything seems to be headed. We'd all like to keep our jobs too. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out throughout this whole series. This is one of the last episodes that we'll be doing this season. Be back in 2026. I do have a couple of releases coming out, so check those out. I think that's all I got for this week. Thanks for watching.